Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel Curious to Ask, and this is the ASMR video and a great big mega huge book haul. So this is the pile of books. So this is about 4 different orders. So I'm going to put the camera down. We're going to look at each book. So first book is called M is for Autism, and it's written by the students of Limpsfield Grange School and Vicky Martin. And on the back it says, "Welcome to my world. It's tipsy-turvy, sweet and sour, and the beast of anxiety lurks outside classrooms and stops me from having a normal existence. I want a normal existence. I want to be like all the other girls my age who knew what to say and what to do. I want to be with Lynx, the juicy-lipped, hair-gelled love of my life. So why does it feel like I'm on a different plane of existence to everyone else? And what does normal even mean anyway?" The students of Limpsfield Grange School wrote this book with the help of their creative writing tutor Vicky Martin. Check out their ITV documentary. So this is about an autistic girl who's undiagnosed and is all about how she feels about herself before she gets her diagnosis, and it's got excerpts from how her mum feels too. I've already read this one and it's really good. It's written by her students at Limpsfield Grange are autistic students. It's a school for autistic students, and some of the students have inputted ideas for this book and created this book, and I shall do a full review when I've read the second book. So they did this one first, and then they've written M in the middle, and this girl, this person decides she wants to be called M. And so this says M in the middle, secret crushes, mega colossal anxiety, and the People's Republic of Autism. From the students of Limpsfield Grange School and Vicky Martin. And on the back it says, "Life after diagnosis isn't easy for Em. Back in her wobbly world and faced with an exciting crush, a pushy friend and an unhelpful head teacher, how long until the beast of anxiety pounces again?" And Karen McCombie, author of The Whispers of Wilderwood Hall, the OMG blog and many more, says, "I wanted to wrap my arms around Em and her story and never let go." And Katie Burchill, author of the It Girl series, says, "An insightful and honest page-turner with a distinctive voice and a wonderfully engaging heroine." Written by the students of Limpsfield Grange School who featured in the ITV documentary Girls with Autism, and Vicky Martin, M's story draws on the real-life experiences of teens with autism. So when it first aired, I saw that documentary, thought it was really interesting. So I'll do a proper review of those when I've finished both of the books. Let me just sitting stance. I've got my pyjamas on still. I'm a bit stinky today, so that's why I'm not on camera. But I thought this way of showing you books would be easier, because if you want to, you can pause the video and just read the back of the book for yourself if you can't understand my talking. So this next book is from a different order, and it's Victoria by Daisy Goodwin, from the creator of the ITV television series. And on the front there's a quote from Amanda Foreman. It says, "Captivating, Daisy Goodwin breathes new life into Victoria's story and does so with sensitivity, verve and wit." Amanda Foreman. And Daisy Goodwin also wrote the best-selling My Last Duchess. It says from the best-selling author of My Last Duchess. So this is the historical fiction. The Times says, the perfect storm of escapism, suspense, romance and superb historical research. Then there's a quote, I do not care for the name Alexandrina. Now that I am queen, I have decided I shall call myself by my middle name, Victoria. It is my own. In June 1837, the 18-year-old Victoria wakes up to find that she is queen of the most powerful nation in the world. But will she be queen in her own right, or a puppet controlled by her mother and the sinister Sir John Conroy? Can this tiny girl prevail against the men like her uncle, the Duke of Cumberland, who believe that women are too hysterical to rule? Everyone wants her to get married, but Victoria has no intention of entering into a marriage of convenience with her cousin Albert, a shy bookworm who didn't know how to dance the last time she met him. She would much rather reign alone with a little help from her Prime Minister, Lord Melbourne. He may be old enough to be her father, but he is the only man who believes that she will be a great queen, and he knows how to make her laugh. Oh, a husband would only get in the way. I know. And Daily Mail says Goodwin writes beautifully, her easy style disguising both erudition and emotional truth. So I'll be excited to read this one because I really enjoyed the show, especially Lord M, and I am totally a Vic Bourne shipper. So the next book is not a story book, it is the DC8 Cube puzzle book. Pit your wits against the people who cracked Enigma. I got this one because part of the proceeds go to a charity of the royal family. So GCHQ is a top-secret intelligence and security agency which recruits some of the very brightest minds. Over the years, their code breakers have helped keep our country safe from the Bletchley Park breakthroughs of World War II to the modern-day threat of cyber attack. So it comes as no surprise that even in their time off, the staff at GCHQ love a good puzzle. Whether they're recruiting new staff or challenging each other to the toughest Christmas quizzes and treasure hunts imaginable, puzzles are at the heart of what GCHQ does. Now they're opening up their archives of decades worth of codes, puzzles and challenges for everyone to try. In this book you will find tips on how to get into the mindset of a code breaker, puzzles ranging in difficulty from easy to brain-bending, a competition section where we search for Britain's smartest puzzler. Good luck! So this looks interesting at the top of the book. There are two puzzles there. If 3 equals T, 4 equals S, 5 equals P, 6 equals H, 7 equals H, what is 8? What is the next letter in the sequence? M, V, E, M, J, S, U. Which of the following words is the odd one out? Chat, comment, elf, manger, pain, Paul. So they're the kind of puzzles that are in the book. So the next book that we're going to look at is Fun Science by Charlie McDonnell, a guide to life, the universe, and why science is so awesome. And it's by Charlie is so cool like, and he's just awesome. Anyway, I love the cover, it's just brilliant. And on the back it says, welcome fellow humans and others to the world of fun science. I'm Charlie McDonnell, also known across the internet as Charlie is so cool like. In my book, I'll take you on an awesome journey through the cosmos, beginning with the Big Bang through to the solar system and the origins of life on Earth, all the way down to the particles that make up everything around us, including you and me. Expect frequent digressions, tons of illustrations of not-so-sciencey things, and pages packed with my all-time favourite mind-bending facts. So get ready for a faster than the speed of light, okay, not quite, tour of all of the best and most interesting things that science has to offer, and most importantly, welcome to the universe. And then there's a little teaser on the back and says, this book that you're holding right now is made of actual stardust. NB, I'm not even kidding. Find my full explanation on page 38. See, that looks really cool. So this next book that I got, and I started reading it, I got it yesterday, and it is Alan Moore's Jerusalem. Now, I haven't really read any of his graphic novel work, but saw another YouTuber talk about this, and I thought it sounded cool. I'll read what it's about. In the half a square mile of decay and demolition that was England's Saxon capital, eternity is loitering between the fire-trapped tower blocks, embedded in the grubby amber of the district's narrative among its saints, kings, prostitutes and derelicts. A different kind of human time is happening, a soiled simultaneity that does not differentiate between the petrol-coloured puddles and the fractured dreams of those who navigate them. Friends last mentioned in the Book of Tobit wait in urine-scented stairwells, the delinquent spectres of unlucky children, undermine century with tunnels, and in upstairs parlours labourers with golden blood reduce fate to a snooker tournament. An opulent mythology for those without a pot to piss in. Through the labyrinthine streets and pages of Jerusalem tread ghosts that sing of wealth and poverty, of Africa and hymns, and our threadbare millennium. They discuss English as a visionary language from John Bunyan to James Joyce, hold forth on the illusion of mortality post-Einstein, and insist upon the meanest slum as Blake's eternal holy city, fierce in its imagining and stupefying in its scope. This is the tale of everything told from a vanished gutter. So this is set. The reason I got this because it's set in Northampton and you get a map of the city. So for us, it sounded really cool because Northampton is somewhere that I have visited. And also, I'm interested in Northampton because that's where Matt Smith grew up. So I have actually visited Northampton and seen it for real life. So this is kind of why I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, and got it. It's a really long book. And I've got that far into it. But I'm really enjoying it because I really like British-based stories. Because obviously, if you're British and you read a British-based story, you know all the references and the humour and the grit. So it's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. Now, I'm simultaneously reading this along with a book on my iPad because I'm reading Robert Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land. And I'm reading that on my iPad on the Kindle app because it's $1.99 on the Kindle app, and in the book itself is, for some reason, it came up as £18, the actual book. So I thought I'd just get it on the iPad. And I quite like reading on my iPad, so it's okay. But I do prefer paper books. But I'm really enjoying Stranger in a Strange Land too. It's about it's about in the future where they've been able to send people to go and live on Mars. There was a kid born on Mars and he's been raised on Mars, and so what they decide that it's a really great idea to go to Mars, pick him up and bring him back to Earth. For some reason, I think they should have just left him on Mars because that's where he's lived all his life and that's what he knows. So they bring him back to Earth, and he's like doesn't understand Earth, and it's all about how his view of coming to live on Earth and people being interested in him. So I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm reading that as well. So they're my current reads. So the next book that I've got, and this is the book haul that I just got today. I then stayed up all night the other night just looking for books because I'm a voracious reader and I just can't get enough of reading. Oh, sorry. So this next book is a steampunk adventure novel called Lady of Devices, and it's written by Shelley Adina, and it's the Magnificent Devices series one. So with these series, I'm just getting the first one and trying it out, and then if I like the characters and the setting, if I come to love the characters, then I'll get the rest of the series books and read them. But I thought I'd just try this one. And anyway, London, 1889. Victoria is Queen, Charles Darwin's son is Prime Minister, and steam is the power that runs the world. At 17, Claire Trevelyan, daughter of Viscount St. Ives, was expected to do nothing more than pour an elegant cup of tea, sew a fine seam, and catch a rich husband. Unfortunately, Claire's talents lie not in the ballroom, but in the chemistry lab, where things have a regrettable habit of blowing up. When her father gambles the estate on the combustion engine and loses, Claire finds herself down and out on the mean streets of London. But being a young woman of resources and intellect, she turns fortune on its head. It's not long before a new leader rises in the underworld, known only as the Lady of Devices. When she meets Andrew Malvern, a member of the Royal Society of Engineers, she realizes her talents may encompass more than the invention of explosive devices. They may help her realize her dreams and his, if they can both stay alive long enough to see that sometimes the closest friendships can trigger the greatest betrayals. And the novel chatter says Adina manages to lure us into the steampunk era with joy and excitement. So I thought it sounded interesting because somebody said that they thought the character was like really funny, and I like stuff that's like got British style humour and got humour in it rather than just being really serious and fantastical. I don't like things that are like mega fantastical and there's like no grounding or earth-based grounding to it, because I just don't like stuff like that. That's why I like Doctor Who, because it's fantastical but very grounded as well. So that's that book. The next book, I had a thought like, I wonder if there's any books about role-playing games and about like humorous books about role-playing games, but like nothing too fantasy. So I came across this book, and it's called NPCs by Drew Hayes. What happens when the haggling is done and the shops are closed? When the quest has been given, the steeds saddled, and the adventurers are off to their next encounter. They keep the world running, the food cooked, and the horses shoed. Yet what adventurer has ever spared a thought or concern for the non-player characters? In the town of Maple Park, 4 such NPCs settle in for a night of actively ignoring the adventurers drinking in the tavern, when things go quickly and fatally awry. Once the dust settles, these four find themselves faced with an impossible choice: pretend to be adventurers undertaking a task of near certain death, or see their town and loved ones destroyed. Armed only with salvaged equipment, second-hand knowledge, and a secret that could get them killed, it will take all manner of miracles if they hope to pull off the charade. And even if they succeed, the deadliest part of their journey may well be what awaits them at its end. So I thought this is the first in a series, I think, and I thought it sounded pretty cool. Sort of been looking for books where the players are playing role-playing games, but they're really crap at it and can't do maths, because that's me. So I thought, I wondered if there's books like that, so I'll go and try this one. The next book is this one, a time travel story by Nick Jones, and it's called Downstream Complete Season 1. This what it says on the back. Meet Joseph Bridgman, a reclusive insomniac with a weakness for the Beatles on vinyl and a constant headache. When his annoying accountant suggests hypnotherapy might help him sleep, Joseph accidentally discovers he can time travel, and things get a little complicated. With the help of Vinny, a local record shop owner, Mark, his old school friend, and Alexia Finch, his hypno time travel guru, Joe sets out to change the course of his life. He needs to get back to 1992, the year his world fell apart, the year that Amy, his sister, went missing. The only problem, apart from his clothes disappearing, is that the further back he goes, the less time he gets to stay there. Can Joe master his newfound gift before time catches up with him? So, I thought this looked a good book, and obviously I like time travel because I like Doctor Who and that. The 5-star reviews on the book say, if you're a fan of time travel, this book is among the best. Another offering of pure delight from author Nick Jones. A wonderful writer. I love this series. It's time travel you can actually understand. If Nick Hornby and Michael Marshall Smith had a child, Nick Jones would be it. Read this. Love this series. The humour is outstanding and the characters come to life. I wish I could give it more stars. So I thought this just looked really interesting. This next book is another sort of time travel kind of thing. It's called The Immortals by S.E. Lister. And the quote on the front is from Maxim Jakubowski. Melancholy, colourful and lyrical, truly the stuff of dreams. So on the back of the book, we love this book, say, full of wonderful characters and fresh perspectives, extraordinary. Rosa Hyde is 17, but she has never left the year 1945. Again and again, she and her family are forced to live through it. The same bulletins and bombs, the same raucous victory celebrations, the same life of fearful isolation. Rosa doesn't know exactly why. It has to do with a trauma in her father's past. All she knows is that she wants to be free. At last she breaks out and falls through time. In a Dickensian music hall she meets Tommy Rust, time gypsy and daredevil, certain that he will live forever. Together they roam the millennia, from ancient Jurassic shores to the immense cities of the future. They find others like them, and tell themselves that they need no home, that they are anything but lost. But then comes Harding, the soldier who has fought for 1,000 years, and everything changes. Could Harding hold the key to staying in one place, one time? Or will the centuries continue to slip through Rose's fingers, taking her further and further from all she has learned to love? And a quote from The Guardian, and that's a quote from a different book. So yeah, so it looks really cool. This is the next book. It's called In the Darkness, That's Where I'll Know You. And the quote from Ain't It Cool News says, "Science fiction, drama, humour, horror, and yes, even romance are expertly blended. One of the best books that I've had the pleasure of reading in recent memory." From the author of Weird, Dark, and the #1 bestseller The Stone Man, Luke Smitherd. So this is what it's about. There are hangovers, there are bad hangovers, and then there's waking up inside someone else's head. The morning after a boozy night before comes with the rudest of awakenings for Charlie Wilkes. Instead of finding himself in his bedroom, he awakes in a prison consisting of moving, undulating black walls and a huge glowing screen that seems to float in thin air. But the prison isn't a prison, and the screen isn't a screen. Incredibly, he is somehow inside the mind of a young woman, Minnie, and the screen is actually a projection of what Minnie sees. How did he get there? What has happened to his life? How is it that he recognizes Minnie, feels a bond of some sort with her, even though they've never met? Can he exist inside the mind of a troubled, terrified, but beautiful woman with secrets of her own? Most important of all, can he ever get out? Uncertain whether he is even real or if he is just a figment of his host's imagination, Charlie and Minnie must work together and learn the secret of their strange connection, if he is to find a way out of the black room, a place where even the light of the screen goes out every time Minnie closes her eyes. So, obviously, if you know me, you'll know why I really am interested in this book. That looks really cool. I'm really excited to read it. This is the next book, and it's written as Jodie Taylor writing as Isabella Barclay, and she's written some of my absolute favourite books. She is the author of the Chronicles of St. Mary series, so I thought I'll try this out. It's called A Bachelor Establishment. High adventure and dark mystery combine in a sparkling historical romance. Eleanor Bascom, widowed and tied to an impoverished estate, has learned to ask little of life. With no hope of leaving, the years have passed her by. Lord Ryde, exiled abroad after a scandal, has returned to strip his estate and make a new start in America. A chance encounter changes their plans, plunging Eleanor and Lord Ryde into adventure and not a little peril, until finally they are forced to confront the mystery of what happened on that night all those years ago. Are they both so entangled in the riddles of the past that they are about to miss this one last opportunity for future happiness? Also available, The Nightingale. I've ordered that one. I ordered that for Kindle, so it's on my iPad next in the queue to read. So I thought I'd try, because I love her other books so much, I thought I'd try the ones she's written in sort of a different genre. So that should be cool. The next book is this one, and it's called The Bloppy by D.K. Cassidy. From the world of Spilt Milk, which, from what I've read, is another book of short stories, apparently. Haven't read that, though. And the back says, Priya is a young woman obsessed with two things, plucking anything and everything in her path, and George, her childhood friend. As a young girl, Priya stood out for her otherness. The only brown child in her school, she withdrew into her own world. Now as an adult, she tries to normalize her life by coming to terms with her differences. To do this, she must find George. He was her first living obsession, and now she needs to find him to understand why she can't stop thinking about him. Plagued by her need to pluck continuously, Priya feels trapped in a world of compulsions, the compulsion to follow her rigid daily schedule, the need to collect the miraculous strings growing out of her thin arms, and the love of visiting her avian friends every Wednesday. Will finding George give Priya the peace she seeks, or will she retreat further into the depths of her obsession with plucking? So I thought that sounded really cool because I totally get the plucking obsession. I have an obsession of scraping and peeling and yes, plucking. So I watch a lot of videos about popping pimples and people plucking hair out, and they're like taking the feathers out of my pillows. So I do a lot of that picking obsession. So I thought it sounded really cool. And about the author, it says D.K. Cassidy scribbles daily in various genres, including magical realism, urban gothic, science fiction, and literary fiction. Her goal, messing with your mind by transforming the voices in her head into odd stories. So I thought this sounded really good. This next book is called The Reader on the 627 by Jean Paul and his friend, so Didier Laurent. The Scotsman says, similar in look and feel to Amelie, which is a film I really enjoyed. The Reader on the 627 is a tale that never loses its capacity to enchant. Galan Vignale lives on the edge of existence, working at a book pulping factory in a job he hates. He has but one pleasure in life. Sitting on the 627 train each day, Galan recites aloud to a rapt audience from pages he has saved from the jaws of the pulping machine. But it is when he discovers the diary of a lonely young woman, Julie, a woman who feels as lost in the world as he does, that his journey will truly begin. And L'Express says, the humanity of the characters, the re-enchantment of everyday life, the power of words and literature, tenderness and humour. The Reader on the 627 is a must. So I thought it sounded really cool. So I might get into reading more books by French authors because they do look kind of really interesting. This next book is the one that started off this book haul. I asked another book blogger for a recommendation that was steampunk, magic realism and British humour, and she recommended this one. I'll leave a link to the other book blog. I think it's called Kitty. And this is called The Strange Affair of Spring Heel Jack, Mark Hodder, and it's Burton and Swinburne. So it's like these two detectives, I think. And Michael Moorcock says, the best debut novel I have read in ages. It is 1861. And Albertian Britain is in the grip of conflicting forces. So I thought, when I read that, I thought, Albertian Britain, not Victorian, but I thought I was intrigued. Engineers transform the landscape with bigger, faster, noisier, and dirtier technological wonders. Eugenicists develop specialist animals to provide unpaid labour. Libertines oppose restrictive and unjust laws and flood the country with propaganda, demanding a society based on beauty and creativity, while the rakes push the boundaries of human behaviour to the limits, with magic, sexuality, drugs and anarchy. Returning from his failed expedition to find the source of the Nile, explorer, linguist, scholar and swordsman Sir Richard Francis Burton finds himself sucked into the perilous depths of this moral and ethical vacuum when the Prime Minister Lord Palmerston employs him as king's spy. His first mission to investigate the sexual assaults committed by a weird apparition known as Spring-Heel Jack to find out why chimney sweeps are being kidnapped by half-man, half-dog creatures, and to discover the whereabouts of his badly injured former friend John Hanning Speke. And Michael Moorcock says in this quote, "This is an exhilarating romp through a witty combination of 19th century English fact and fiction. Mark Hodder definitely knows his stuff and has given us steam opera at its finest. In this first novel he shows himself to be as clever and inventive a writer as those who enliven his pages. A great, increasingly complex plot, fine characters, and invention that never flags. It gets better and better, offering clues to some of Victorian London's strangest mysteries. This is the best debut novel I have read in ages." So, high praise. So that looks cool. This next book is called The Lazarus Gate by Mark A. Latham. George Mann says, steeped in rich fantasy and Victorian authenticity, not to be missed. So on the back it says, London, 1890. Captain John Hardwick, an embittered army veteran and opium addict, is released from captivity in Burma and returns home only to be recruited by a mysterious gentleman's club to combat a supernatural threat to the British Empire. This is the tale of a secret war between parallel universes, between reality and the supernatural, a war waged relentlessly by an elite group of agents, unsung heroes whose efforts can never be acknowledged, but by whose sacrifice we are all kept safe. And the quotes on the back are from George Mann, author of the Newbery and Hobbs novels. Go ahead and lose yourself in 19th century London. You won't regret it. James Lovegrove, the author of Sherlock Holmes, The Thinking Engine, says, a splendid start to what promises to be a terrific series, making fog-shrouded London come alive. Gavin Thorpe, author of Empire of the Blood, says, a powerful Victorian esoteric fantasia that plays on the themes of multiple world theory and extreme science. So I thought really cool, really into stuff like parallel universes and gentlemanly London. I love stuff like that. This next book is called I Blame Morrissey, My Adventures with Indie Pop and Emotional Disaster by Jamie Jones. You wouldn't let song lyrics rule your life, would you? You wouldn't become so infatuated with a pop star that you would use their words to make decisions on your relationships, would you? Jay would. Join him as he tries to grow up in the 1990s in a haze of lust, indie pop, and warm lager, while all the time looking to Morrissey for guidance. I thought the concept of this book sounded so cool. And I've got Best of Morrissey album. I got loads of his songs. So I might actually play some of the songs as I read the book. So I thought it was just really fun. So this next book is The Best of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. And John Green says, an insanely beautiful writer. And Patrick Ness is twice Carnegie Medal winner. And obviously he created Class, which I will be reviewing. I've been really busy with some art stuff. So I will be catching up with Class and doing some reviews at some point. So, not everyone has to be the chosen one. What if you're not an indie kid fighting zombies or whatever this new thing is with the blue lights and the death? What if you're like Mikey, who just wants to graduate before someone blows up the high school again? Sometimes you just have to discover how even an ordinary life can be extraordinary. From the best-selling and award-winning author of A Monster Calls and More Than This comes a bold, funny and insightful novel about the many different types of remarkable. So I heard about this from a lot of the other big vloggers. I eventually have acquired it. And The Guardian says, hilarious and poignant, enjoy the ride. Daily Mail says, Ness's status as one of our finest authors is reinforced by this original and bold, clever, witty and warm celebration of the battle to survive adolescence. Irish Times says, very clever, very original, very Patrick Ness. So I thought this looked... See, I did get a bit... For a while I was getting it confused with a different book that didn't look as good. But this looks really cool. So the next book that I got is Armada by Ernest Cline, a novel by the best-selling author of Ready Player One. I've read Ready Player One and really enjoyed that one. So Zach Lightman has spent his life dreaming that the real world could be a little more like the countless science fiction books, movies and video games he spent his life consuming. Dreaming that one day some fantastic world-altering event will shatter the monotony of his humdrum existence and whisk him off on some grand spacefaring adventure. But hey, there's nothing wrong with a little escapism, right? After all, Zach tells himself, he knows the difference between fantasy and reality. He knows that here in the real world, aimless teenage gamers with anger issues don't get chosen to save the universe. And then he sees the flying saucer. Even stranger, the alien ship he's staring at is straight out of the video game he plays every night, a hugely popular online flight simulator called Armada, in which gamers just happen to be protecting the Earth from alien invaders. No, Zach hasn't lost his mind. As impossible as it seems, what he's seeing is all too real, and his skills, as well as those of millions of gamers across the world, are going to be needed to save the Earth from what's about to befall it. It's Zach's chance at last to play the hero. But even through the terror and exhilaration, he can't help thinking back to all those science fiction stories he grew up with and wondering, doesn't something about this scenario seem a little familiar? So I thought that sounded really cool. And then the final book in this book haul video is Evasion by T.J. Klune. In the small mountain town of Almeria, it's stretching towards autumn of 1954. The memories of a world at war are fading in the face of a prosperous future. Doors are left unlocked at night, and neighbours are always there to give each other a helping hand. The people here know certain things as fact. Almeria is the best little town there is. The only good commie is a dead commie. The women's club of Almeria runs the town with an immaculately gloved fist, and bookstore owner Mike Frazier loves that boy down at the diner, Sean Malgard. Well, they haven't gotten their acts together is anybody's guess. It may be the world's longest courtship, but no one can deny the way they look at each other. Slow and steady wins the race, or so they say. But something's wrong with Mike. He hears voices in his house late at night. There are shadows crawling along the walls, and great clouds of birds overhead that only he can see. Something's happening in Almeria, and Mike will do whatever he can to keep the man he loves. So I thought this sounded really interesting, and because when I went to read some of the reviews, people kept saying, "Oh, I won't reveal the twist. I won't reveal what happens." Like, what? Why? What happens? What happens? I won't reveal what happens. And said, "Oh, it's a bit that I wasn't sure about." And there's a bit that scripts some people out, and there's a twist. So I thought Well, I've got to read that to find out what the twist is, because nobody was saying. So I got that one. So they're all the books that I got in this book haul. I really hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Yay!